to the one and only Sweden versus France here. It's going to be Todd versus Bischu as a PvP opener.
And, I'm kind of excited because we haven't really gotten the chance to see a lot of, actually, any Protoss versus Protoss in this nation war today. No. I mean, most of the countries actually, I think only 2 of the 4 countries had a Protoss in them at all. Or I know that 2 of the 4 countries were missing one of the races, and it might have been Protoss in both.
I think it was, actually, come to think of it. Ukraine definitely does not have a Protoss player with it. Well, that's something to bear in mind there.
France... Oh, France doesn't have the Zerg.
Yes, France is missing the Zerg.
That's right. Either way, the important thing is that we haven't gotten to see it. And Yonsu is a really interesting Protoss versus Protoss map. A lot to do with the fact that there's a lot of power in Blink on this map, even with very, very small numbers. It's hard to immediately win a game with Blink, but I definitely think that we will see that be a pretty strong linchpin to players' defenses.
Certainly. And I think Todd is a good opener on this map as well. I think Todd's PvP is pretty rock solid, and he could take the win off Bischu there, so I like Todd better than the other possibilities, I think, as an opener here for France.
For sure. I mean, especially given the fact that going up against Sweden, I mean, Todd's best matchup, I do think, statistically, is versus Zerg, but his PvP is pretty strong as well. Bischu, actually, I think, is the sort of wild card in a lot of this, because we've been talking a good bit about how he and Zanster are the real strong points in the team, so I think definitely trying to begin this series starting off as a win is going to be huge, because both these players have been getting battered both these teams have been getting battered pretty hard.
Yeah, Sweden got all killed, and France almost did. Dayshi saved them from that, but now we see who really is the stronger team amongst the lower bracket here. Todd versus Bischu will be the opener, and may very well decide the momentum and the fate of this particular series here. So let's rock and roll. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Yonsu. It's my pleasure to bring you to the southwest position in the Blue Trunks, playing Protoss for France, XMG Todd, versus his opponent to the northeast position. In the Red Trunks playing Protoss for Sweden, it is Bischu.
And I will note that this is the map with the ever-so-favorited cannon rush into the main base that has a surprisingly high win percentage, but we are tragically not seeing it today, TV.
How disappointing.
Absolute misery befalls me. So, there's a couple of weird things to note. Generally, what makes a map good for Blink is that the main base, the ridge, is right alongside blinkable ground. So, for instance, if you go directly north of Todd's base, you'll see all that empty, wide open space there. However, that's only good if you can get from the front of the base to the back of the base quickly. And on this map in Protoss vs. Protoss, given the fact that, one basing and staying up on your ramp is pretty common, it's really, really hard for Blink to do much more than a single brief threat. So we see people contain with Blink, but we don't see people really go all in with Blink.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. And I have to wonder which direction these players are going to be going in. It's been a long time since I've had the pleasure of casting Bischu, or indeed Todd, for the most part, and focusing on the American side of things, so this scene is a little bit unknown to me at the moment, so the tendencies of both, not something I'm really too sure about. Bischu actually stacking both of his pylons together right there.
Can't possibly be bad, to be honest. I mean, no. Doubling up on your first set of pylons, I actually think is probably important. It's one of the easiest ways to lose because of proxy gates. I mean, even Todd's placement, where he has his gateway tucked here, it's very hard for a proxy gate to kill off that back pylon. So thinking against proxies, always going to be beneficial.
Yeah, it's safe. It's not like there's really a downside to it at this point. Bischu was yet to scout. Todd got the successful scout into the base and says, all right, okay, no nonsense going on here, so I can continue as normal.
Pretty standard. Pretty not notable. Really just curious what's going to be happening with that first Zealot. Bischu does let it finish. Endy has both geysers done, so that immediately says, I want to do something very tech-heavy. He is going straight for the Mothership Core. Is he going to go for Stalker second? He is there as well. And if he goes for Warp Gate next, he does. This really looks a lot like Blink. Just like a ton like Blink from Bischu.
We'll see if he decides to go for that.
Yeah.
And if he can actually hold Todd in, Bischu's Blink Micro is... I don't remember Bischu's Blink Micro. I remember his macro versus Terran was really, really strong, and he was playing this really nice defensive style back in the time when I used to cast him, where he'd do these really great wall-offs and take these fantastic fights, and he liberally used cannons for defense. He was difficult to harass as a player, but since then, it's hard to keep track of a player like Bischu.
I love what we're seeing out of Todd. This is a really cool play where you do go Blink. Oh, interesting. Wow, Stargate, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do love this opening from Todd because he ends up with enough out of that sentry to be able to pretty quickly get a hallucination. Or he can use the force fields for defense in case things get really scary, but this is so uncommon for Bischu to do a push like this without any aggression behind it.
Yeah. Straight into that base, and Bischu wants to kill the sentry. He's going to get it. He is going to lose his mothership core, though. Oh, no, he isn't. He's got 4 HP left on the mothership. What?
No way. Oh, my God. If Todd suffers a brutal loss again. Oh, God. And we're seeing the Oracle pop out as well. I mean, Todd needs to keep that mothership core on pure defense. I actually think Todd is okay because he has the Twilight Council down, and Blink is just so strong on this map. But in terms of losses, 4 probes killed, a lot of disruption went down, 27 to 21.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. It's weird to see Bischu waltz right up the ramp there and say, alright, you know what, I think I can kill your sentry, and I think I can kill all your anti-air before you can kill my mothership core. And he was right. I think maybe he was hoping that Todd would waste a photon overcharge there, and that might have been why he did it, so that then his air attack would be more effective, but it didn't work out that way. Todd would not be baited into that. He's got the energy for a photon overcharge, so this Oracle might not do that much.
Yeah, I mean, it theoretically shouldn't do a ton, but it can pin Todd for a seeming indefinite eternity. I mean, Bischu's going to dart right in here, and Todd needs to throw the photon overcharge like now.
Yeah.
Excellent reaction time by Todd.
Yeah, throws it down. Bischu knew it was coming. He was already prepared to turn around away from that. But this thing's going to stick around for a while, so that means that the Oracle can't really come in. There is a Stalker out on the map. A Void Ray was built as well, which is pretty cool, because we're seeing a Stalker heavy force coming out of here from Todd, so having a Void Ray in that mix is really going to give you the punch that you need to start breaking those Stalkers apart.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, keeping those number counts... Actually, for Bischu, keeping any number count low is what he wants. I mean, if he can keep your Stalker count low, your probe count low, the energy on the mothership core count low, the more of that he can do, the increasingly pinned back Todd's going to be because of times like this, where he's already killed 2, 3, and 4, probably going to get 5 up here. I mean, geez, 8 workers killed now. And then I think Bischu's just saying, all right, I'm going to win with an all-in 4-gate and a Void Ray. Easy peasy.
Yeah, and he might be able to. Obviously, Blink is on the way for Bischu. It's not done yet. He doesn't really want to fight before that arrives, and Todd's actually pushing out, but then Blink's back immediately, having taken the Xel'Naga Watchtower. And Blink should be done by the time this goes, and it will be a little silly if Bischu didn't wait for that. He's going to put a pylon behind it, so looks very, very likely. And this looks like a pretty good aggressive spot here for Bischu. There will be a photon overcharge ready, though, so let's see how much damage you can really do here.
Looks like we're going to be seeing 120 energy on the mothership core, so that guarantees at least 1 photon overcharge. But in the Stalker count, we're seeing the lead does slightly rest with Todd. So what he can do is kind of align his photon overcharge with killing off the Void Ray and backing off there. Some good blinks are going to put Todd in a great position, especially given that Bischu hasn't built up, he hasn't really built up that many more probes. The game's pretty even now.
Yeah, it really has worked out that way. There is, however, an aggressive pylon on the high ground for Bischu. So he's sitting there and saying, right, I've got 4 gateways and I'm going to warp into your base. Once his photon overcharge is done, is when the aggression will begin. And I think it will then come down entirely to control, because as he said, it's very equal. They've both got the same number of gateways. There is that Void Ray, which might change things around a little bit, but...
Yeah,
this is...
and Todd's just done a great job harassing with 1 Stalker and 1 Zealot. And it looks like now he has a little bit of an advantage, but gosh, I still think he's going to have a very, very tough time deflecting this attack. It's literally only control. On the battlefield, we have 17 Stalkers for Bischu, 16 for Todd, and the angle does slightly favor Bischu.
And a nice time warp going down in the center right there as the engagement begins. Mothership Core will die. That's absolutely fine. Todd probably wants to rebuild that for extra energy anyway. An aggressive blink forward here from Todd. And Bischu trying to blink back very, very quickly. And it looks like he's able to do that. Can he get the focus fire in? This is not looking so good for Todd here. Bischu's got the numbers to make this work. 18 to 12 as Bischu continues to push forward. Both players microing really well with the blink there. Bischu with a lot of very low health stalkers. Todd may be able to push this back, but it's not looking likely. Bischu continues to warp in more unity, pushes it back, an aggressive blink forward, takes down 2 more, 3 more, 4 more stalkers, and that is going to be all she wrote.
I mean, Todd cut that corner. He didn't get his initial... Oh, and there is the instant departure. No GG at all from Todd in either of his games in this Nation War. I mean... Todd cut one corner. He didn't get the initial zealot. He went straight for the sentry and thought that that would be enough.
And it wasn't. He did do that cool backstab. I was personally anyway, so focused on the upcoming engagement in the main that I didn't see the Zealot and Stalker backstab. It did 6 probes worth of damage. Yeah. And that's pretty good. If he'd been able to hold, then that would have meant that 4-gate was going to start to peter out because he wouldn't have quite had enough probes perhaps to maintain that level of production, but wasn't quite enough because the fight went in favor of Bischu, and it went strongly in favor of Bischu as well by the end of that. It was like 12, 13 Stalkers to 2. Bischu's control was really good there.
And now that means that Sweden puts its first win up on the board. They had some good games in the first series, but man, did Hero Marine just look absolutely unstoppable. So that now means that Bischu, with his first win, we're going to get to see another Protoss player be sent out. Only Terrans remain. So it's Downfall or Dayshi at this point, and it's like 99% chance going to be Downfall.
I think so. I wonder if Downfall is good enough to beat Bischu. We haven't really seen a huge amount out of him yet. Of course, he got kind of smacked by Cass, but to be fair, he did do fairly well in the early game. He just sort of fell apart after that. So I wonder if he's kind of the caliber that can beat Bischu. I think he's got a better shot against Bischu than he did against Cass, who is just a bit of a master when it comes to that matchup.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. You know, I'm curious if you know what the next map is going to be on this set. And I ask because, you know, Downfall, we've seen, just has some super, super nice attacks. And attack timings. And he was brilliant with his movement on Derelict Watcher. So, of course, I want to ask, well, you know, on another map, what are those cute angles that he can swing in at?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm asking the admin to try and find that information out, although we might just get the invite before that even happens. So we're just going to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, I mean, for any of you who are unfamiliar, there's, I believe, 7 maps in the Nation War, and each team does an alternating series of downvotes. So that way, you know, you can slightly tune the maps to your, or slightly tune the match to your team's strengths and weaknesses. And that's why we end up seeing Alterzim and Daedalus Point downvoted so much.
Yep. See who's going to go out here. We don't know yet whether it'll be Downfall or Dayshi. Downfall does make a certain degree of sense. I believe they choose the player and then they choose the map on a loser picks basis. So I'm interested to know what they're going to pull out here.
Either way, it's going to be the attack timings for Mr. Downfall, or just Dayshi's generally insanely good play.
Yeah.
Yep, looks like Downfall, and now they're going to be choosing the map.
All right. Okay, then.
Now, no matter who wins, man, do they have a hard time. Wow, Ukraine looked so sick. Even when they lost, they looked sick.
Yeah. You know, Germany was just a powerhouse. It was a really close series. So whoever goes through here they're going to be struggling against. I mean, Damarga's play today is enough to beat any team in this league, in my opinion. And it was ridiculously close to actually lose to Soke there. Really does go down to that what-if scenario, as you mentioned, where if there was just one Overseer, that would have been a different fight, and maybe Damarga took it from there, but it was an insane game, and I just love Habitation Station for allowing that kind of thing to happen. It's been going really, really well on that map up to this point. So we'll hopefully see a few more games on there. But
I'm super pleased also to see increased use of a lot of queens.
Yeah.
Most of the players that we've seen as Zerg have exceeded 5 queens very, very quickly and then gone for even more. I mean, Scarlet at Red Bull Battlegrounds flooded queens to go Queen Hydra Ling to bash through a Protoss defense. We also saw in this last Sokka versus Damaga game, the 11 queen near counter victory that was only thwarted due to DTs. I mean, so much cool stuff there.
Yeah, I agree. The whole series has been fantastic today. I think we've definitely seen some very high-quality matches. There were some pretty cool matches yesterday, but I think these have been far more entertaining. Even just seeing Hero Marine destroy Sweden was good enough, because Hero Marine executed it so well. And even seeing him lose, I mean, he lost in a spectacular fashion. That game was insane. We even saw a great game with Cass and Dayshi with some awesome TBT and Altazim, so... Alright, you just do not understand how delicious this fried rice is. Holy crap. Oh, it is that good. I haven't eaten all day. I've been basically casting for the last 7 hours on water, which is good for my waistline. Apparently, it's not good when you start to feel dizzy from lack of nutrients. So, I am going to be eating some of this fried rice throughout the broadcast. I apologize for that, but I would like to not die, if at all possible. So, it's my pleasure to bring you, now from Team Sweden, to the northwest position in the red trunks of Team Property. Playing Terran, it is MorroW versus his opponent to the southwest position. In the blue trunks, having get kind of a default win, which is a bit unfortunate. I'm sure he would have liked a legitimate win. Playing for Team France, the newcomer Downfall. Now, I'd like to compare this Terran versus Terran. So there's fried rice, if you don't mind. So, Terran versus Terran is very much like fried rice. Takes a while to eat. There's seemingly a lot of it, but it goes over surprisingly quickly. It's very hearty, but too much of it might make you want to kill yourself. That's TVT. That's fried rice. This is delicious. I'll just see a refinery first here for Downfall. Into the barracks right there. So I might see a Banshee opening from Downfall. Could certainly do the damage. Keep an eye on that gas amount, see if he decides to take a second one. In the meantime, MorroW on the other hand. A bit more standard. Going to what looks to be a 12-12. So we expect to see Reapers out of MorroW. One of his personal favorite units. I mean, he did win an entire tournament off the back of 5 Rex Reapers, so... Which to be expected. So you might enjoy that. You know, rice is very much like Marines. Seems very generic, very dull. It's kind of... You know, it's not really substantial on its own. But with a lot of it, you can pretty much do anything. There are entire nations that survive off the backs of rice. Just as there are entire races that survive off the backs of Marines. MorroW coming in with a scout. He should note the earlier gas timing. He should also note the factory going down immediately. And no reactor. So he's been thinking, alright, hang on a minute. I think we know what's going on here. But here's the thing about this. You don't necessarily know, ooh, second gas coming down for Downfall. Okay. Almost guaranteed to be a Cloak Banshee play out of this. Unless he's got some crazy ideas. Which he might. The thing is, MorroW's going to be able to see this. That's the weird thing about it. But honestly, you don't usually do an SCV scout before the Reaper, so I think this is a bit misleading. Downfall hasn't scouted yet, and I think he believes, oh, it's not a Reaper because you sent in an SCV instead, but it is actually a Reaper, and the cool thing for MorroW is he's going to see everything. So he sees 6 gas mining, he sees the starport going down. Of course, there's no tech lab being built yet, but MorroW knows exactly what this is, and should be very, very prepared for it. I mean, you've got to do it, don't you? I mean... What can you really turn this into? This would be a real funky transition. I'm trying to think what you could do with all this extra gas. And Downfall could decide to just go for a Raven, and then just play safe from there, but he's already behind. MorroW is already only, well, over halfway done on that construction. These Reapers are being incredibly annoying. Swap over's coming in. MorroW doesn't want to block it, of course, because he loses Reaper. There are still 2 Reapers on the map here for MorroW. Cloak begins. Reaper's going to move around there, and he knows exactly what this is. So for MorroW to then die to it, that's where things would get really weird. Currently, there's no engineering bay. So this is a little bit strange. I mean, he can rely on scans, but he actually doesn't have the energy for that yet. There's already a Banshee on the way here. But there it is. There's the engineering bay for MorroW. He knows what this is. I don't see a single way for this to do a lot of damage unless MorroW makes a mistake. And if that happens, I'll be very surprised. And one way or the other, Downfall's definitely behind from this position. I'm gonna sneak a little move there with the Reaper. Going in first with the SCV. Bit of a misread from Downfall. It's like, oh, there's no Reaper coming. And then exposes it. And let's see, one Banshee into a tank. Alright. This is actually old school 1-1-1 here. I wonder if he can make this work. It would be really interesting. If he kept the Banshee and then went for some kind of attack with a siege tank, some Marines, and a cloaked Banshee, I think he could do quite a bit, because he would make his opponent overcommit to missile turrets and widow mines in the back of the base. There's a second Banshee following this up. I'm surprised Downfall's going in here. This is a very dangerous thing to do. He might not want to... Well, the Cloak's not done yet, but I'd say maybe he doesn't want to show Cloak. It would be an interesting surprise. Wow, he's shown Cloak immediately, so never mind. Currently working on an add-on, which isn't really going to do much. So that is MorroW pushing his opponent well out of the way there, without too much of a problem. Where does he go from here? Downfall a bit supply block there. Looking to try and get a tank out, which he can do, and get a second tank. I still think he should pull the Banshee back, play a little bit defensively, and actually go for a push with a couple of tanks, a couple of Banshees, and some Marines. I think from that position, maybe he's got a shot. But from this position... This is a one-base build. There's no CC coming up here for Downfall yet. He could. He very well could. But he's still building units, so... I think really he has to push. But here's the problem. Look at the size of the map. I mean, it would take ages to get across this, and more to the point, MorroW has this idea that there might be a push coming. He's lifted his barracks up, and he's currently going for that Hellion Viking composition that we saw earlier. And here... Is that going to be the push? Yes, it is. Alright, Downfall's going to go for it. And actually, the barracks are going to miss this. So this is pretty cool. There's some SCVs with this push as well to help with repairs. He did lose that first Banshee, which I think is silly. Like, there was no need for that. He didn't really do much damage with it. The Lyote is not going to provide scouting information here. Downfall pushing forward, and this push... I mean, it could work. There's a lot of Hellions. So that's what kind of makes it difficult here. This Cloaked Banshee could be a real pain. And let's see what Downfall can do. Alright, the siege is coming up. MorroW does not react in time. And suddenly a siege up in position here. This one-base 1-1-1. This is actually a classic. This is a Puma build coming out right here. And he is gunning down those Hellions with great vengeance and furious anger for poisoning his brothers. And now he's working on the expansion. It's going to die! Hey, hey! MorroW misread this. Downfall taking out MorroW's CC and gunning down those SCVs. There's only 3 Hellions and 2 Vikings. There's nothing to defend against this. Somehow MorroW did not see this coming. This kind of failed Cloaked Banshee into a classic 1-1-1, something MorroW should be quite familiar with, is now killing MorroW. If you can believe it, tanks need to re-siege, but MorroW has no units left. 2 Vikings and a single Hellion right here. The Cloaked Banshee continuing to work its way through. Siege tanks on both lines now attacking the mineral line, doing economic damage. A couple of Vikings will finally be able to work down that Banshee. But there are still Marines. 12 of them, in fact. 2 tanks. MorroW loses one of his factories here as well. Vikings are going to come out. 1 Viking immediately dies to the Marines. This is good game. There's no way. I'd be impressed to see it. He goes in with the final push. He's going to try and crush these Marines, but he's going to take so much damage from the siege tanks in the process. The economy of MorroW is in tatters. There are only 3 SCVs left. There is nothing left here for MorroW at all. And this will get cleaned up, but there's 3 SCVs. Huge amounts of damage. And he lost his orbital as well. Maybe if he'd held on to that, but this is insane. Downfall builds his own orbital behind this. There are only 4 SCVs remaining for MorroW. He's barely mining. He lost everything. He even lost production. He lost add-ons. I mean, that was devastating. But he's going to try and come back in. He's got a couple of Vikings on the way and a Hellion. That's going to get thrown away very easily. There's a siege tank there and a bunch of Marines. Scouts still doesn't see the CC. He will discover it as he goes up the ramp there. There we go. Going for it, and that'll be picked off very easily. The Vikings have been pushed back. He'll be able to do a little bit of damage there. The scouting factory comes in, and Downfall needs to avoid, of course, that Widow Mine. Doesn't want to take too much damage from that. Good control here by MorroW up to this point, but, I mean, he's very, very far behind. I think everyone can clearly see that. Downfall has his expansion. He has triple the production. He has triple the minerals of MorroW. Once he starts mining from this position and gets the second round of mules down. We're going to see a Cloaked Banshee follow up from MorroW. And no, we're not. Hey, 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 Downfall takes the game, and MorroW with the misread right there. By the looks of it, a 1-1-1 build, a classic. Cloaked Banshee, Tank, and Marine all in. And it did the job. Well done to Downfall, very impressive. And Sweden may very well actually get all killed by Downfall. I mean, it's a bit weird because the Bischu actually got DDoSed. Or at least we think he got DDoSed. We're not really sure, but whatever the case, he had connection issues. Whatever. And that then leaves Downfall with 2 kills, even though he didn't really earn the first one. But he took out MorroW straight up there. Nice little maneuver. If you don't mind, I'm going to go finish eating my rice. And then we're going to go on to what could potentially be the final match. Sweden is down 2-1. Zanster is the only thing standing between Sweden and total defeat at the hands of France. We'll be right back. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And Sweden is on their way out. Zanster from the Fnatic Academy is the only thing that stands in the way of utter decimation at the hands of the French. The thing that I think you would have never, ever expected to hear in human history. But, as it stands, the French are doing very well indeed. Downfall with an excellent transition into that ancient 1-1-1 build from so long ago. It's so ancient your mama knew about it. I'm sorry. I'm continuing that proud tradition of making terrible jokes. I'm missing day 9 to bounce off of, but I can still make terrible jokes. Don't worry. This'll be good. Well, an unfortunate situation, of course, for the Swedes. But regardless, this will be their last stand. Can Zanster pull it back? Let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see right here, to the northwest position of Habitation Station for the French, it is Downfall versus his opponent to the northeast position from Fnatic's Academy in the red trunks, playing Zerg for Sweden. The one thing standing in the way of total obliteration. It is Fnatic's Zanster. And he'd better show some skill, I gotta say. Well, he has shown skill in recent tournaments, as was accurately pointed out in previous analysis. Zanster did really well in some Sweden-only events. He actually came in second only to Naniwa. He is that good, so he's a good choice, I think, but he's got a tall order ahead of him. He's a young player, he's got to deal with the rest of France. Now, even if he takes out Downfall, he then has to take out Dayshi. And that's a really tough thing to do. Dayshi is, in my opinion, an order of magnitude better than either Todd or Downfall. He's just that damn good. So I have to wonder whether or not Zanster would be able to take him out. I guess we'll find out. Whoa, Downfall. Downfall. 11, no, not 11-11. It's going to be, what, 11-12? 11-12. Double proxy barracks in the middle of the map here. And this is really misleading, because Zanster's going to go into the base, and he could be thinking, oh, well, I guess he's going CC first. He may be able to count the number of SCVs, but it will take him a while to get there, because, you know, you want to scout the entire base, you've got to scout the ramp, which you can kind of do. He's going to have to angle himself, but he then has to check the CC down on the low ground to make sure it's not there. And then when he realizes that this is actually proxy, oh, Downfall, look at that. Look at how cool this is. Downfall is setting an SCV down to make it look like he's doing a CC, which he actually isn't, which means Zanster is now turning around to look for the command center, giving these barracks time to finish. That is really cool. And it's sneaky, too. And Zanster's thinking, hang on a minute. He's going to look around again, but I think Zanster's got to realize something's up. I need spines. The SCV is there. Zanster can't see it. Bunker rush. Wow, Downfall really is from 2010. First, actually, it would be 2011, wouldn't it? First the 1-1-1, and then double proxy barracks into bunker rush. Very cool. I haven't seen that in ages. Zanster doesn't realize yet. He hasn't got a spine up. Hasn't started that. The ling's there. Uh-oh. He says, good lord, what have I got myself into? It's a triple bunker rush. Boxer style coming out right here from Downfall. That's an immediate cancel. This is good. That's an intense wall-off right here. I wonder if Downfall will actually let the other two complete. I guess it doesn't really matter. You can salvage for the same cost as the cancel would be anyway, so you might as well let them complete and then create that wall-off. And suddenly, Zanster's attempt to expand has been thwarted quite nicely here. And this is a trick. There's only 3 Marines. Downfall's actually moving back with his barracks here, and he's got to go back into a normal game. This could cause a massive overcommitment of units here from Zanster and really cripple him economically. Because look at it. That fake CC is now a real CC, and it's actually outside of Zanster's vision range with that Overlord. He's got to be a little bit careful. Yeah, he can't see it. He's too far out. This is cool. I like Downfall already. This is really awesome. Very, very nice. Downfall with the triple barracks wall off right now. Zanster will now confirm, however. It's like, hang on a minute, you're going for the CC. There can't be that many Marines in those bunkers. It did cause a huge overcommitment, though. Look, 22 Lings against the 3 barracks wall off doesn't do anything. It's as simple as that. And now, Downfall's economically ahead from that. That is so cool. I'm going to do that in future. Actually, I'm not. You know what? I'm not going to do that. Oh, he's making 12 more. I think he's going to go into a Bane bust. He's going to have to go for a huge Baneling bust. He has no idea how many units are there, but he's got to realize now, surely. He sees the Marines, like, hang on a minute, you got Marines back at your base. So, is he going to Bane bust this bunker set? Because if he does that, that's going to be a huge waste of Banelings, for one thing. And secondly, how the hell is he going to attack from that position? He's going in! The Baneling bust on almost empty bunkers! Oh dear. Zanster dedicating 3 Banelings. He does realize eventually there's nothing in it, but that was a trick from Downfall, and now he's heading across the map, and he's going to run into a 3 barracks wall off. Nothing's going to happen here. There's 5 Marines, and there's only 3 Banelings. Unless he goes mass Baneling, which he doesn't have the gas to do, he cannot do a thing here. Zanster is really badly screwed in the early game from the excellent trickery of Downfall. Now he expands, but look at it. 25 to 19, double orbital from Downfall, a triple barracks wall off. God, where do you go from here? Does Zanster try and expand again? He's already massively behind. And I wonder what the follow-up is actually here from Downfall, because he's been doing most of this without any add-ons and without any tech. Now he's going for factory. So let's see where he goes from there. He's going for an engineering bay. Maybe Unitas from this position. Yeah, Zanster's going straight to lair. He is taking gas. He won't have enough drones to make Mutalisks. I actually expect a Nidus from here. What often happens is you see a Zerg player who is this far behind, who's up against something like a 3 barracks wall off, something really intense at the front, attempt a Nidus. There is an Overlord in position that could do it, but it would do it in sight. That's the problem. Yeah? Zanster is moving an Overlord in this direction, though, so he may attempt to Nidus this area. This is a good area to Nidus, simply because there's a lot of open space there, and usually you don't build stuff there. So let's see. Zanster's moving into position. He's mining gas from 2, not 4. It seems like a Nidus worm, but it's hard to say. He might decide not to do that. We'll see. That was, yeah, it's a prediction. It is probably not correct, though. I think, though, with this Overlord moving the way that it is... Oh, savvy Downfall. Look at that. Supply depot coming down in the exact position that a Nidus would come in. He may decide to do it in the back, but I don't know, it might not even be a Nidus worm. It's actually a Spire, which is really surprising. A Spire? I mean, he only has 2 gas. He has... There's no way he can make that work. He's not even mining fully from all of these gas. I'm not really sure what his plan is here. I mean, if he does a bit of harass and he's able to get back into the game, that's fine. But Downfall already has an engineering bay. He's got 19 Marines. There's only 170 gas for Zanster. What is this for? Well, he's taken 2 more gas now, but the Spire's already only half done. If he's going to make mutas, he's only going to be able to make it like 4. Which is really not enough to do anything. Just a missile turret in either base shuts that down. Alright, well, we'll see how it goes. I think it's a bit of a confusing decision. I think maybe Nidus would have been a better bet, but as it stands, that would have failed anyway. But going Spire on only 2 gas is a little odd. A couple of Lings get killed, Hellion drop, and Downfall's going to start harassing here. And finally, this is up. He's managed to get enough drones up to actually make this work. But as you see, the Spire's about to complete, and I was even overthinking that. He can only make 3 Mutalisks with this. And in fact, yeah, he makes 3 Mutas and +1 ground carapace. That's an interesting choice from Zanster. I would love to see him do something with that. If he actually manages to make something happen with such a small selection of Mutas, I'll be very impressed with Zanster. What I'm also quite impressed by, actually, is the creep spread. Even under pressure, he's managed to very diligently creep spread towards the center of the map, which is very nice. So I'm impressed by that. It's going to be difficult to come back from this position, though. He did use a lot, you know. He's only on 47 drones. He's still behind economically. He's taken his 3rd base now, but with mules, the Terran player is far ahead, and far ahead in tech as well. You know, Mutaspire coming up sounds nice, but when you've only got 5 Mutalisks, it doesn't really do anything. And now Downfall's going to parade across the map. 24 Marines, 2 Marauders, and 5 Hellions should be enough to kill the army. The Mutalisks are coming in, though, and because Downfall decided to send his entire army away, this is suddenly doing damage. And this is really nice here for Zanster, because I think he was just predicting that big all-in push from Downfall. But let's see what he does. Let's see how the splitting goes here. The splitting not so great here from Downfall. This entire army is going down here. Holy hell, did Zanster just turn this around? I think he might have. 4 Mutalisks into the main base. The entire army leaves. Downfall gets greedy, doesn't build a single missile turret, and suddenly the Mutalisks have done damage. 9 workers killed. Only 39 SCVs remain. The army at the front crushed. Zanster is back in this. Very impressive. A bit of a, certainly a flub, I think, from Downfall to actually allow 5 Mutalisks to do as much as they did. I mean, that should not have happened. But these 5 Mutas have been the most effective 5 Muta pack you've ever seen. There's only 5 of them. He's not building any more. He's going for centrifugal hooks and upgrades. And he's doing yet more damage. Takes out yet another SCV. Another one. Excellent control here by Zanster. Really good. 14 workers killed. This is unbelievable. Zanster with the incredible comeback from that position. Very, very cool. I haven't really got a chance to see him play outside of the first series where it was 3-0 Hero Marine, but this is excellent. 18 workers killed now by 5 Mutas. In no universe does this happen. No universe. It's insane. He's going for it again. Excellent Muta Micro, too. He's actually dragging away the missile turret shots. He went in there knowing what the first one would be targeted and immediately turned it around and ran it back, meaning that several salvos went in that direction. That was really impressive. And now Zanster's taken a 4th base. He's come back from this. He has more than double the economy of his opponent. This is ridiculous. Lings and Mutas now on the way. Baneling's on the way up. Not a triple barracks wall-off anymore. Not at all. Downfall is in a hell of a lot of trouble. Zanster has put him there against all odds, with an excellent defense and a really great Mutalisk backstab. He is right back in this game. Muta's now joining the main army. And Downfall's army is looking decidedly less scary with that many Banelings on the field. The Mutalisk going in right now. Good split coming in. Excellent split, actually, from Downfall. Really, really good. But I don't think he's got enough Marines. I don't think it matters at this point. The economy was too damaged. The Lings and the Mutalisks overrun it. The comeback for Zanster. Sweden back in the game. Incredible stuff. Zanster now flooding into the main base. More Lings to follow this up. More Mutalisks on the way. 30 more Lings as the follow-up here. Muta's right on top of those Marines as they get pushed all the way back into the main. Lings all over the place. Ling run by. Supply depot's going down. GG Zanster with an incredible turnaround. That was fantastic. Good lord, Zanster was so far behind. You know, I take that back. I questioned the decision to go Spire with so little gas, but it turns out that Downfall left no defense in his base at all, and 5 Mutas killed 18 SCVs and delayed so much tech, which should have never happened. And that's why he's a pro player, and I'm just sitting here. Not that. Well, well, well. Zanster, very impressive. Sweden back on the board here. However, France still has Dayshi. It's currently 2-2. Can Zanster beat a player the caliber of Dayshi? Because let's be honest, Dayshi is in another time zone. He is in another dimension to Downfall. Don't get me wrong, Downfall pulled some great stuff out of this. Really cool. But this is Dayshi. This is the guy that ripped up WCS. This is the guy that all killed MVP. MVP, of all people. They all killed Quantic, and took out Hyun twice, I might add, in the process. And that was a stronger Quantic, when they actually had Koreans, and weren't dissolved, and their owner possibly dead. But regardless, that was, yeah, Dayshi is a way better player than Downfall. So this is going to be a tough match. I'm not entirely sure if Zanster can pull it off. If he can, what an amazing comeback for Sweden. Guess we'll find out, folks, won't we? I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, Dayshi versus Zanster. We're actually going to be going very, very soon. You know what? Screw it. Let's not take a break. Unless they're asking for a 3-minute break for the French stream, which they might. And I'm actually out of water, so I may die anyway. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're going to try it again. Looks like Dayshi did not disconnect this time, so here we go. Derelict Watcher will be the venue for the encounter, the final encounter between the French team, represented by Dayshi of Team Millennium, in the Blue Trunks playing Terran to the southwest, versus his opponent, the fantastic Fnatic Academy Zanster in the northeast position, in the Red Trunks playing Zerg. What the hell did we just see? It was kind of a throw, I suppose, by Downfall, but a really cool idea by Zanster. And it's hard to say which was crazier. Is it a case that Zanster actually expected that big push, and as a result, he went the Spire even though he didn't have the gas to make anywhere near enough mutas? And he thought, alright, I know what's going to happen here. He's going to leave the base undefended. And he went in and backstabbed. And it worked so well. Like, 5 Mutalisks do not usually do that damage. He killed 18 SCVs. He crippled the economy of his opponent. He slowed down or entirely stopped multiple buildings from going up. And then, at the front, as the attack came in, he prepared his Banelings. He had great creep spread. And then he obliterated the Terran army. And since the production was getting camped and the economy was damaged, there was no comeback from that position. So Zanster really pulled that back. That was incredibly good. But I've got to say, I do feel it was a bit more of the mistake on Downfall's part. A single turret, and I actually literally mean a single turret, would have stopped that from happening. Downfall neglected turrets. He wanted to build everything he possibly could, full-on attack mode, and he didn't expect mutas. And I don't blame him, because really from that position, Zanster should not have been able to build any. But he decided, you know what, I'm going to dedicate to it. I'm going to build 5, and I'm going to do damage with it. So, I don't know what to say, but I'd like to... Well, I want to praise Downfall as well, because he's played some great games. Really cool mind games on Habitation Station there. That was really great. And then we also saw some absolutely fantastic play versus MorroW, who kind of critically misread the build, and then just got bopped by a 1-1-1. Straight up. And that was that. Lost all but 3 of his SCVs. Okay, Dayshi went with a CC first. Very confident opening here. Zanster certainly a less accomplished player than Dayshi. Dayshi is very, very good. He is easily the ace of Team France. I don't think there's even a question about that. Probably the best French player now. Alright, Dayshi is on the way over. Has a scout. Looks at it. Sees what's happening. Alright, nothing out of the ordinary. Bunker coming up for Dayshi. Playing really, really safe here. A little bit scared that Zanster might decide to get aggressive. He is moving around with 4 Marines, but... sorry, 4 Lings, as opposed to 4 Marines. Shouldn't really do much, though. There's going to be a second Marine down the bottom before that arrives, so... Doesn't matter, the bunker's going to be done, so that's going to do absolutely nothing. Not until speed comes up. It is possible that he would surge Lings as soon as speed came out, but right now, Zanster dedicating to drones, so nothing out of the ordinary. Pops up the ramp, sees a bunker, says, alright then, that's fine. And we're seeing by-the-book play here from Dayshi. Couple of Marines out at the front. Slightly delayed, of course, on the Hellions. Didn't open up with a Reaper or anything along those lines, so... It is a build that we have seen today. And Dayshi will be able to swap over. Get the Hellions out. And then we'll see where he goes from there. Obviously, Hellions are the go-to unit against Zerg in this kind of situation, because you want to prevent creep spread. Where possible, you want to do run-bys, but you'll often find the pro players don't actually do that. And you might think, well, why wouldn't you? Now, isn't that an opportunity? It is, but if you don't do damage and you lose your Hellions, you lose all map control. So what happens is then the Zerg just goes wild. He expands, he constructs creep tumors everywhere, he spreads his creep really fast, he takes full map control with his Lings, and then you're playing in the dark, and that's never a nice thing to do. So keeping the Hellions alive is often more important than trying to dip into the base and do damage. And this is interesting. Actually seeing Marauders come out here. Dayshi suspects Roaches, which is not actually correct. Not yet, anyway. Marauder Hellion is still a good build. But it's a little strange to kind of see blind Marauders coming out here. I wonder if he'll build another. No, he's going back into Marine, so he just wanted to build a single Marauder. just for the hell of it. And I guess that helps a little, but it is a little bit of an odd choice, I've got to say. Maybe he just thought, oh, maybe there's roaches, and then realized, no, there's the third base. So we're not seeing any kind of two-base roach nonsense or anything like that. 4 Hellions, single Marauder, 5 Hellions now. He's going to probably go up to 6. I'll be interested to see if he goes any higher than that. Probably not. Dayshi's just playing straight up at this point. 3 queens out, however, at the front for Zanster. The 4-queen build, which will be absolutely fine. He's going to have to send a queen over here eventually to start pumping in lava, but right now this is fine. Zanster's going to directly push these back in. Transition out of this into double barracks play with Engineering Bay, and actually Dayshi gets the run by. And what I was saying earlier, this might... Oh! There's a drone transfer! No, Zanster, why would you send them now? No! Oh! We'll probably lose the Hellions. I don't know, actually. They might get out. But no, he's just going for it. He's just like, yo, you know what? I can roast your drone line here. I know I can. Bit of miscontrol there from Dayshi. Could have grabbed those 2. Went around the side there. 2 more drones pop and instantly get roasted. Why is that? What is he? That is... Why? Zanster decides, you know what? With Hellions in my third, this is the best time for another transfer. And apparently not. Takes yet more shots. 13 workers killed. Totally worth it. Okay, cedes a bit of map control, but his production is really rolling now, and I think that's totally fine. 13 workers killed for 6 Hellions. Well, even 5 Hellions, actually. Got away with that. Oh, no, he's not. He's going to lose it. Never mind. Which is a bit weird, because he shouldn't have, but never mind. Alright. Baneling Nest on the way up, and Lair for Zanster. More gas being added on. This is the 3rd gas. No, it's actually the 2nd. There we go. There's all the gas coming in. So, expect to see Mutiling Baneling as the composition here from Zanster. And Dayshi, having done a lot of damage, has slowed that down quite nicely. Because the mineral mining's not going to be quite as crazy, and if Zanster wants to mine from all 6 gas, then he's going to have to dedicate a lot of drones to that, and he did lose a decent amount of them. But he's back up to 67. 27 lings on the field. Dayshi does have a good amount of units, but he's been quite slow on his upgrades. The combat shield upgrade is really late. He is working on 1-1 double upgrades, but he was taking a 3rd base. So it's understandable that those upgrades would be a little bit delayed. And he was also building things like a Marauder and 6 Hellions and all sorts of things like that. Zanster's going to have a look around and see what he can see. The wall-off is solid here for Dayshi, so there shouldn't really be too much of a risk. He's even putting 2 bunkers out the front, which is really, really safe play, actually, from Dayshi. The Lings should be able to run by, but it'll take a lot of damage if they do, so not too big a deal there. 1-1 about to complete for both sides, in fact. Really, really well synced up. But I see Zerg Melee only slightly behind. That's not going to make a difference, I don't think, because Dayshi doesn't look like he wants to attack. Right now, there are only 2 medevacs on the field, and they're both here. And now he's going to start the dropping. Alright. Well, Dayshi has the bunkers up, so he's more than prepared for any kind of run-by. I'm not really sure what that was all about. Stimming forward to kill that single Zergling, but hey. A little surround coming in there. Zanster's actually off to the side. This is good information, though, for Dayshi. He knows that there is a Ling flank set up, so he wants to watch out for. He's actually adding Hellbats in, which is classically Dayshi's unit of choice. Very, very cool unit that he absolutely loves to use. There's the drop. Zanster's more than prepared. He's completely overwhelming this with Lings. Anos for the umpteenth time slowing down the game. Might want to buy a PC that's a little bit less wooden, but never mind. And Dayshi now dropping down on top of the creep. He might scan. He would actually get 6 tumors if he scanned here, which would be pretty good. That would allow him to really push that back. But Dayshi now with the parade push. He's gone full-on macro mode. I mean, look at how scary this is. 40 Marines. He's building 12 at a time. He's adding some Hellbats in there. I think he needs them before he pushes forward any further. But I think he might want to just take out a bit more creep. There's so many tumors, though. I don't know if he can effectively kill this creep. He finds the Banelings just before they morph in. Forces a bunch of cancels. Oh! And gets beaten down. They morph in just at the right time. Quick pickup here by Dayshi to get the hell out of there, but he is adding a few Hellbats into the composition, which against this Baneling is going to be great. And the funny thing is, we're talking all about the mutas. Zanster only just starts building them at 13 minutes in. He was focused on massive Ling production. He has 106. Absolutely huge Ling production with a lot of Banelings. It's delayed the mutas significantly. Which is fine, but it does mean the mutas are going to come at a fairly weird time. It's going to give perhaps Dayshi a lot more opportunity to defend against them. So far, he hasn't seen any. He's got no missile turrets, but he does have a lot of Marines. Aggression coming in towards the 4th base here from Dayshi. There's going to be a clash in the center as well with these queens by the looks of it. Dayshi can very easily stim forward and kill off all of these queens. The creep has gone about as far as it's going to go by the looks of it. In the meantime, that aggression is cleaned up very easily by Zanster. He swats that away. Nice use of the Banelings there. Mutas almost get that medevac. A little bit unfortunate that they didn't. These guys are going to be trapped, though. They're dead. I mean, there's no question about that. He just wants to get the best value out of it. In the meantime, though, the big push from Dayshi. 52 Marines. A couple of Hellbats in there as well, which is going to be very helpful against these Lings. Pushing across the map and also leaving a Widow Mine in there. That's a really nice place to put them because you might see an attempt to come in from behind. And if that happens, then these Widow Mines could do huge damage. So I like this decision by Dayshi. Continue to clean out the creep and also get access. You know, he's opening up some more routes to go towards the 4th base. Attempted Ling run by is... Wow, that mine is terrible. Somehow did not go off, which was really surprising there. He did move into range. And a nice Ling run by. He leaves his door open, which is very silly there by Dayshi. And he's not controlling this at all. He eats a bunch of Banelings in the face, loses a lot of Marines. Suddenly, Dayshi springs into action, but he is losing units. And look at that! Zanster with 111 Lings towards the back here. He is overrunning Dayshi's army right now. Still economic damage being done. 22 workers killed by Zanster. Incredible performance already from our young Zerg player from Sweden. Oh, Dayshi gets slammed once again. The Hellbats at the back. Yes, they might do some damage, but it's not going to matter. Zanster just obliterated that again. He is all over Dayshi right now. Really surprising, because Dayshi is very, very good. But Zanster is on fire for Sweden here. And he's looking very likely to be able to take this. There are so many Zerglings. Massling, 98 of them with 2-2. 116 Zerglings now. 3-3 is on the way, but if Zanster can strike before that, he's going to be in a great spot. He maintains his 4th base, even though he's taken some losses at it. He could safely transfer over. These Widow Mines are being a bit annoying, but Zanster's handling them impeccably. He's not losing anything. Throws in 1 Ling to take the shot, then takes it out. No problem at all. Really impressive. Going up to 132 Lings and 12 more Banelings here. Infestation Pit being added on, and Dayshi is now in full-on terror mode. He is going to have to hide behind his defenses and hope for the best. Hope to get some good engagements, maybe get some good mine hits off to get back into this. He is still on 3 bases with an extra CC, so macro-wise he's in a great spot. But he's lost his army several times, and Zanster is maxed. Taking a 5th base now. It's complete. He's even building defenses here. 133 Zerglings and 21 Banelings here from Zanster. What a performance so far. And I've got to say, the rest of Sweden has disappointed up to this point, but Zanster is really pulling it through for his team here. However, Dayshi's macro should not be underestimated. He's almost maxed again. In come the Lings. Doing a little bit of damage. Banelings are at the back here. Widow Mine goes down and gets shut down. Oh, really nice play there by Zanster. Target firing down the Widow Mines. Here come the Lings. The Thor's at the back. The split comes in. There are so many Banelings coming behind this, though. I don't know if this is going to be enough. So many Lings overrunning the Terran force again. Here come the Widow Mines. They strike against the mutants. It doesn't make a difference. Lings surrounding everything. Banelings wipe out the remainder of the army from Dayshi. All the medevacs going down here. France's hopes going down in flames as Zanster comes out of the gate with a fiery performance. And Dayshi is getting beaten within an inch of his life here. He's gonna somehow have to hold on. Try to take a 4th base. Get a planetary up. Do what you can. His macro is still great. He's still on 3 bases. That's kind of the only thing he's really got going for him right now. He's got 4, actually like 5 orbitals by the looks of it. So he's doing really great that way. And if he can hold this 4th base, he might be okay, but this is so much coming out from Zanster here, who is adding an infestation pit in there as well. And here it comes. Banelings on the way. Looking to crash into this bunker defense. They are easily going to overrun this Dayshi within an inch of his life. Trying to hold on with some Hellbats here. Still got some units. Looking like a surround coming in. The huge Zerg swarm comes down upon Dayshi. Lots of Marauders going down to that as well. The pursuit here from the Mutalists doesn't quite do the job, but the 4th base is forfeit. Absolutely gonna die here. He will not be able to mine any more from that. He has almost mined out at his natural. His 3rd is heavily mined as well. And Zanster's on 5 bases. Dayshi, can he pull the miracle play out from here? Gonna be almost impossible. The Banelings crash through. The defenses come down. The walls torn down here as Zanster invades the base of the Terran. Again, Dayshi falls back, tries to hold the line, is able to do so with a Hellbat or 2 at that natural ramp. This is still looking ugly, though. At the end of the day, Zanster doesn't need to be efficient here. The Terran player does. The Terran player's almost mined out. Look at that. Huge amount. Pretty much half of his mining SCVs are now no longer mining. The income, as a result, plummeting. Mule's deployed to try and get it back over 1,000. He does have a lot of orbitals, but you know what that's going to do? This is the only place he can deploy mules. He's going to mine out so fast. And Zanster's taking a 6th base. Zanster's building more Banelings. The full-on macro of Dayshi is starting to fall apart here. He can't build 15 Marines at a time. He can't build Hellbats and Widow Mines and Medevacs. He's long-distance mining. And there's Lings all over it. It doesn't matter. The SCVs are going to get obliterated. Zanster comes down on top of this, and Dayshi's last stand is now. 36 Marines, 3 Marauders, a Thor, 4 Medevacs, and a Hellbat is all he's got to defend against the entire Zerg swarm. Consistently maxed out. He's been maxed out for several minutes. Continues to do it. Banelings roll in. Try to get the connection. Dayshi splits are good, but there are too many units. Below 100 supply is Dayshi. Medevacs are now going down. France's military has come to pieces. And France is about to be knocked out of this tournament by a phenomenal comeback from Zanster here. He has been an absolute machine. The reverse all-kill coming in from him. Such a good performance from Zanster, I gotta say. That was really, really good. And here he goes. Zanster forcing his way in. The contaminates go down. There is nothing left. And Zanster will continue the comeback right here for Sweden. Roll on through, and there's the GG. Zanster carries his team on his back all the way through to the finals. Very impressive. The losers' final will be coming up. They have to face the Ukraine. That's a tall order. That is a tough, tough series of matches coming in here for France. So far... Sorry, Sweden. What am I talking about? So far, Zanster has clearly been the MVP. And that was an incredible performance. Really good. But can they beat the Ukraine? Beating France, okay. You know, France, their lineup wasn't that strong. Ukraine, their lineup is arguably the best in this tournament. Bly and Damaga and Kass. That's who Zanster basically has to beat. Bischu, of course, as well, if his connection problems have sorted out. And MorroW, who has not, unfortunately, been able to put on a fantastic display up to this point. That's going to be tough. And that's going to be the final map of the day, folks. We'll be back. Not sure when. We've got to check for you. Just want to make sure it's going to be that 15-minute break. If it is, I'll, of course, start the countdown. And then I'll be right back. And we can give you the final. One of these guys goes home. And one of these guys will head on through to tomorrow. We'll find out after this break.